One love, God bless. Fire Nelson here, and today is Sunday service where I pick a random scripture from the Bible and see what parts of it I've highlighted. So I just scroll through, find what I land on, and then we're going to reason upon what it means to me, and hopefully it means a little something to yourself. So let's get into it. Okay. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know exactly how to say this one. I've always had trouble. But Ecclesiastes. I don't know. I'll look it up after this video, but this is to show you that it's just random. But Ecclesiastes, and we're at chapter 5, verse 4. There's another one on verse 7, but I think I'm just gonna go to verse 4 for now. So chapter 5, verse 4, Ecclesiastes. So when thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than thou shouldest vow and not pay. So this is very important. This is not only for the Most High, but this is for all parts of life. When we set a vow, when we set a promise to somebody, it's very important that we pay it, or we might as well have not have said it at all. You know, we should not avoid paying it. We should not see a person and be like, oh man, I don't want to see them today because I know I owe them something. But we need to always think of it in a way as, no, we are very grateful that we get to pay this vow. We are very grateful that we get to uphold this promise, whether it's actual physical payment, you know, or whether it's spiritual payment, or whether it's you being there with your time and your effort. If you promise something, it's very important to keep it because it shows how righteous you are, and not only your words, but your actions. When we say things that we're going to do and then we do something different, it not only lets ourselves down, but it lets them down, and it makes them, or doesn't make them, but it sometimes creates a narrative in their head that, oh yeah, I already knew the world is fake, and I already knew spiritual people don't do half the things they say, or I already knew if it's not Sunday, then this person isn't you know, guaranteed to be nice. They're not guaranteed to be holy. They're not guaranteed to keep righteousness about them. They're not guaranteed to keep any promises that they've made to the Most High. When we have seen the light, when we have heard the words of the divine, when we have come into this awareness, we have made a vow that we will follow the righteous path, that we have made a vow that we will keep our connection with the Most High. And when we do this, when we give ourselves over to the divine, when we, you know, repent for our sins and these types of things, it's very important for us to live righteously at all times, to live in the law of the Most High and the Most High's commandments, whether it's the commandments of Moses or the commandments that Jesus, you know, helped interpret for us. Because the laws of Moses, they weren't set in stone. They weren't completely finished, as to speak, because the Most High speaks in parables. The Most High speaks in ways that sometimes it's hard for people to truly interpret. And maybe Moses didn't have a full interpretation of the law, but Jesus was here to help, you know, relay the law to the people so that they can know and realize, oh, I can follow this path and not be so much, you know, weighed down by maybe people felt would burden them by some of the laws in the earlier times. But we have to realize even the laws of Moses were still righteous, you know, because we shouldn't even be thinking of doing these things that would cause us judgment, that would cause us damnation, that would cause us, you know, eternal fire. We shouldn't even think of these things, because that eternal fire starts to build up internally until it's a full blaze. And you know what they say, misery loves company. So if you're burning, you're looking for the next person to touch and be like, hey, help me. Even though if you're not saying this consciously, subconsciously, you're reaching out to other people to help, you know, take some of that fire off of you. So you find people to be angry to, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. You flip out at people more often. You hold more fear within you. This is what happens when you let a little bit of sin seep in. The fire keeps building and building and building. We have to keep that vow that we kept when we heard the righteousness in our ears, when we seen that divine light within us. We have to keep this righteousness and keep that vow within us so that we can truly live a life of blessings and abundance. See, when thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. So when you vow something to the Most High, we're supposed to live in a way of a heightened awareness. What did he say? He hath no pleasure in fools. And it's not a capital he, but it's a lowercase he. So people have no pleasure in fools. That's saying that even the people around us in this world have no pleasure in fools. So why would the Most High? Why would the Most High say, hey, I'm going to grant you all these gifts, and I ask you for a few certain things? That seems very easy. It seems very, straightforward. But you can just pay it back whenever you want to and avoid me and, not attend to prayer, not attend to meditation. This is what the Most High is saying, that we need to pay our vow. Don't defer from it. Don't defer from prayer. Don't defer from meditation. Don't defer from being a service of the Most High. When you see someone in need, that's the Most High asking you to pay that vow. When you feel anger coming up into you, that's when the Most High is telling you, hey, you need to pay this vow and push that anger away, up into the sky, not onto other people. We need to let go and let God. But we need to let that anger go and choose peace, choose happiness, choose awareness, choose positivity. We want to choose divine truth in all situations. We have the power to control our emotions. We have the power to control our thoughts, but we let our emotions take control and we let our ego take control. When this is something that is not supposed to be happening in society, and is definitely not supposed to be glorified in society as much as it is. We live in a time where ego-based living is, basically awarded. We give money to these people who live from their emotions and live from their toxic feelings and these negative places where they're not thinking consciously, but they're just letting their unconscious run things and hoping that people will receive it and not judge them too much, and they'll get enough clicks off of it. And this is what we do. We love stuff that's going to make us fear. We love stuff that's going to make us anxious. We love stuff that's going to make us angry. I don't love this stuff, but the mass majority of people love watching and indulging and paying for this stuff. When Kendrick and Drake beefed, everybody wanted to talk about it. When anything goes wrong in this society, everybody loves to talk about it. When Blueface and Krishan Rock was happening, everybody loves to talk about it. Trump just got shot in the ear, supposedly. Everybody's gonna want to talk about it. But we have to focus on what we need to focus on. We don't need to focus on these politics. We don't need to focus on this toxic social media environment. We need to focus on the Most High and building our connection with the divine source, realizing that there's beauty all around us. We don't need social media. We don't need presidents. We don't need all these politicians. We don't need all this, toxic corruption in our lives to live a beautiful, blessed life that's conscious of our divine purpose, of our divine path. We have to stay focused on the pleasures of the fruitful and abundant land that the Most High gave us, flowing with milk and honey. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou vow, and better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. So it's better if you never ever even take the time to live a righteous life. It's better that you never ever even take the time to promise something to the Most High. It's better that you don't even promise something to your children, your wife, your family, than it is to promise something and never pay it. Because they're always going to have that in their head, like, oh, who hasn't paid you $3 years later, 9 times out of 10. So why would the Most High not remember a promise that you made to the divine? Why would the Most High think, okay, they promised this, but it's all right. I'll forget it. They don't have to live in a righteous path. It's all right. I'll forget it. You know, you took a vow. You know, you got baptized maybe, or rebaptized, or you went and found God, found Yahweh, and you said, okay, I'm done with these things. I'm done drinking. I'm done going to clubs all the time. I'm done engaging in perverse behaviors, and I'm done committing adultery. I'm done, cheating on my wife. I'm done talking recklessly to my wife and my kids. I'm done not respecting thy neighbors as thyself. I'm done gossiping. I'm done doing all this cursing. I'm done doing all these things. You put a vow to not do these things, and yet you want to just continue to do them. It's okay to slip up. Of course, we all slip. We all sometimes trip. We all sometimes stumble, and sometimes we all fall. But it's important to not let yourself get to that fall. It's important to catch yourself when you stumble. It's important to catch yourself when you trip, so that you can be more present of your conscious instead of living from the unconscious, because that's when you're truly breaking that vow, when you're letting yourself fall into the ways of society instead of keeping the consciousness of your holy vow that the Most High has bestowed upon you. You have been chosen to live a righteous path. You have been chosen to live in a holy manner, because a lot of people out here are ignoring this vow. A lot of people, don't make a vow at all because they know that it's something that they don't feel they can do. That's not the divine truth. We all should know it's something that we can easily do, follow the ways of the Most High, but they feel it's something that they cannot possibly do. So they don't even keep the vow. So when they go to their, when resurrection day or, judgment day comes, the Most High will be lenient on them, because we do not judge people for what they do not know. We do not judge people for not having the consciousness or the awareness that they have. We judge people for what they do know. We judge people for what their consciousness, for what we know that their consciousness is, for the knowledge that we know that they have, because it's better, as they say, that thou shouldest not vow than to vow at all. And it's better for someone to not have knowledge and sin than it is for someone to have knowledge and sin. It's a bigger sin if we actually have the awareness of what is sin and we continue to do it when we know that this is wrong. This is something we shouldn't be doing. It's something that doesn't align with our path. But for those people who just do not know, who are living unconsciously in this world, the Most High is more lenient on them. Their forgiveness is more lenient upon them. They still will be reincarnated into the same cycle of life, the same cycle of problems, because they haven't dealt with certain things, but they will be dealt with more lenient. We have to realize that we have an opportunity, we have a obligation to follow the vows that we have, stated, whether it's been, outright, we spoken a vow about how we're going to live, or we just have a new consciousness about us that, hey, this is how we're going to live now. This is how I'm going to live now. I'm no longer going to live in Babylon society ways. I'm going to live a path of righteousness, a path of Christ consciousness. We have to commit to the vow that we've made to the Most High. We have to always do the work to connect with the divine source. We have to do our prayers. We have to do our meditations. We have to read our scriptures. This is why I hold so important Sunday service, because it's really for me to help you understand the scriptures and not think of them as this mumble jumbled, sexist and racist text that a lot of people think about the Bible or the Quran. Right now, I'm not reading the Quran, but later on, after I finish the Quran, I will read it. I'm reading it diligently, because I want to give you guys the information and the source of a different scriptures and holy texts. But there's always so much wisdom guiding us back to the divine source. That is what every holy text that I've gotten from is telling us, that there is a divine source. And once we are conscious of the source and we make a vow within our heart, it may not be outspoken, it may not be the actual words you say as a vow, but when you make that vow with your heart that you have a new consciousness and you're going to live in that awareness, then we can't turn back to the ways of our old self. We can't turn back to the ways of Babylon. We need to uphold this vow, because it's better that we should not vow at all than for us to rise our consciousness and rise our awareness and rise our vibration to a place and then just let everybody down, including the Most High, and go back to our old ways. So we have to stay patient, stay disciplined in our spiritual practices, and make sure that we're doing them daily. We want to do them weekly at least, but at the very, very, essence, you're going to get the most out of your spiritual practices by doing them daily. We want to always connect to the divine source. We want to always keep that vow to have our prayers, have our meditations, have our spiritual readings. We want to always keep the vow of doing righteous and staying away from the laws of man and how society acts, and act out of the laws of the Most High, act out of the divine laws that have been, gifted down to us from many prophets and saints and things like this. So I hope you enjoyed this, quick interpretation of this tough title that I have to go learn how to say later. But I really do hope you take that vow to live in a righteous way, to change your life and live in a consciousness of the Christ, to live in a consciousness that will help elevate you to the next spiritual level and next really human evolution that we're supposed to be on. It's not about the 3D. It's not about what everybody else is doing. It's about what is actually going to be good for you. And what's good for you is living by the laws of the Most High, living by the laws of the actual universe, not by the laws of man. So if you haven't, please subscribe, like, comment, share. And I appreciate everybody that's been doing that. And I appreciate everybody that tunes in for Sunday service, because I know not a lot of people usually do, because like I said, there's a misconception about the Bible. There's a misconception about church. There's a misconception about God and Jesus. But we have to realize that Yahweh, God, is always pushing us to our greatest and best self, and always trying to guide us with a bright, light of abundance, a light of wealth, a light of unconditional love, when we raise our awareness to the consciousness that everything people say isn't the truth. What the Most High says 9 times out of 10 is the truth, is a universal truth. But we won't know this until we actually take the time, learn the laws of the Most High, learn the laws of the universe, and try these things out for ourselves. Try out prayer, try out meditation, try out positive thinking, try out affirmations, try out spiritual books and holy scriptures. Try out reading these things. Listen to gurus, listen to, watch videos like this. We won't realize the beauty of the world until we actually try. And then once we try, we'll be ready to make that vow of righteousness, make that vow of holiness, make that vow of the saints, as they have, as your gurus and as your saints and as the people that you read about have, the greats. They have this deep connection with the divine source, and we also have the pathway of this connection, but we have to stay aware so that this pathway can stay open for us. One love.